Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And before we do roll call, I'd like to make an announcement that Mr. Stephen Parentano is Skyping in due to being out of state. He's on our laptop and will be joining us throughout the meeting, obviously, through the Skype. At this time, Mrs. Burns, roll call, please.
Mr. Congdon?
Here.
Ms. Boyle?
Here.
Mr. Feather?
Here.
Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Here.
Mr. Morris?
Present.
Mr. Parentano? Mr. Rudy?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Present.
The quorum is present.
All right, thank you. And we heard you, Steve. Can you hear us okay, Steve? Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I knew it.
Thank you, everyone. Prior to the board meeting, the board met in an executive session this evening to discuss matters of employment and litigation. Any announcements, Mrs. Burns?
No announcements.
Superintendent's report. Mr. Jones, please.
Just a quick one. A reminder that the Pre-K Counts program here, preschool program, is still accepting applications. You can go on our website. It'll be in our newsletter that'll be coming out tomorrow as well and mailed out to all school emails. Our program is just approved for the continuation grant, so we have 2 classrooms that will definitely be up and running out of the Lower South, the old Lower Southampton Elementary School, and we do have a expansion grant application that will wait until the state approves its budget and we'll see how much money they allocate for preschool, and we may get some extra dollars for additional 2 classrooms, and that would be at Schweitzer. We had students continuing right up to the end of the school year with service activities. Maple Point 8th graders were connecting with World War II veterans, connected to their Tour of Honor event, special trip to Washington, D.C., and the veterans corresponding back to our students, our 8th graders. It was a meaningful moment for our students and for our faculty. Pearl Buck raising money for the homeless through a Pay It Forward effort at Rose's Pizza, and the Tawanka Early Act Club benefiting the St. Mary's Medical Center Foundation by selling paper daisies. So just a lot of good service work continuing in the school. Congratulations to our Neshaminy retirees. Some people left school the other week and are not going to come back. We've got a good number of retirees in the district led by Michelle Michaud, special education teacher with 40 years experience. We had a nice program for our retirees earlier. Ms. Michaud can be seen with a retiree 2017 sash on our website, Facebook page. You'll see it in the newsletter as well that's going out tomorrow. And just one final last note I just received today that Fertibar, this is a combination of the retiree and the service because oh no, I'm sorry, it's wrong. It's wrong teacher. But Pam Conklin, 2nd grade teacher for the last 25 years, has been doing a service learning project there where our students participate with St. Jude's, a fun book math program. This year they raised $5,000. The grand total for the 25 years, the school has donated over $250,000 to the hospital for that program. That's an amazing number for a small school like Fertibar. Great work by the students, the community, and by the teacher, Mrs. Conklin. So congratulations. That's all I have.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to let Mr. Jones start it off, but we're going to move to the board vacancy interviews. We had 3 individuals apply for the board spot that's vacant at this point in time. This will be an appointment that will be filled up until the November election, because that position will be on the ballot for a 2-year term. So this will be an appointment. We had 3 candidates. One candidate was actually going to leave vacation to join us, but unfortunately had, which I'm assuming because I haven't seen him, a call for an emergency service for work. So he actually had to go back into work on his vacation, and he wasn't sure that he was going to be able to make it, and it doesn't look like he did. So at this time, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Barnett is your first candidate.
All right, welcome, Mr. Burnett. We're going to have interviews for the board vacancy position. I'd like you to open up before we ask you any questions. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your interests in filling the appointment of this position.
Okay, I'm a lifelong resident of Bucks County. I grew up in Bristol Borough. I live in Cobalt Ridge section with my wife Lisa. I'm a retired Middletown Township police officer. Am a retired deputy chief, fire chief in Bristol Borough. I presently work for a local school district as a security officer in a middle school. And I've had a longstanding interest in public service, obviously with the police and fire service. I'm also a past member of the Middletown Township Disabled Persons Advisory Board, and I'm presently a member of the Planning Commission. So my interest in joining the school board is years ago, under a past regime here on the school board, I was going to run for the position, and I was asked not to so that someone else could run, and I stepped aside. I was going to run this year in the primaries, and I was spoken to and asked not to, and I stepped aside again. And when I saw the passing of Mr. Vanna, the unfortunate passing of Mr. Vanna, I thought I would put my name in for consideration.
All right, thank you. Steve, can you hear us? All right, I'll let you lead off the questions.
Hello, Mr. Burnett. My name's Steve Peritano. Sorry I can't be there in person. But could you tell me about what you feel your responsibilities would be as a board member of Neshaminy?
Well, obviously, I thought it was. Obviously, I thought, having worked and working now in a neighboring school district, the students are the #1 priority. Obviously, as a security person for me at the school, the students are the #1 priority. The neighborhood, Neshaminy neighborhood, the fiduciary responsibilities to the people of the district is an important part of it. And then also the staff and curriculum that the staff bring to the students is an important part of it.
Do you currently have any family members working for Neshaminy School District?
Yes, I'm proud to say that my daughter teaches here, special education here at Maple Point Middle School.
And one follow-up question with that would be, how would you feel about voting on their contract? Would you abstain, or you would just evaluate what we're doing and vote on it.
Sorry. I would think that in the best interest, I would probably abstain. That would probably be in the best interest, although I would participate in the talks about it. But when it came time to vote, for the interest of everyone, I would abstain from that vote.
Thank you.
Hello. So do you have, Mr. Parentano asked about your responsibilities as a school board director. Do you have a vision of what your long-term goals are, what you'd like to see the district evolve into?
Coming from Bristol Borough, Neshaminy's always been a spotlight that we would look up to and we would want to emulate. Working in another neighboring district, I've gotten to see how that district works, and I can take what I see there, the good there, and help hopefully bring it to the Neshaminy schools. But at the present point, Neshaminy's on a good path. I think that it's changing, it's starting to go down a good path. And so I would just look to continue to improve the school district as it's been going over the recent couple of years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just 1 second, please. All right. As we did with the last interviewer, we're going to give you a few minutes to introduce yourself and give us some information about yourself and your interests in the vacancy.
Sure. My name's Adam Kovitz. I live in Levittown. I am a digital marketing consultant, chief digital officer for hire. So I have 3 boys that go to high school, or that will be going to high school here this coming year. And I've taken a great interest, as my wife has, in their academics. Runs fairly high in my family. And as far as why I am here tonight, I'm here tonight to, as you know, I ran for the spot, the Region 2. Unfortunately, I lost for a variety of reasons, and I was very accepting of that. But during the time that I was running, I became very good friends with Rob. He was a big supporter of mine. And that was further helped along by the fact that our 2 sons, one of my youngest and his son, are good friends in school. And so various sleepovers and things we got to know each other very well, and he was a big supporter of mine on the campaign trail. So it was really very difficult for me. I was very accepting of the political results in this past election, and I was ready to move on. And then I got the news that Rob passed away, and it hit me a lot harder than I thought, than I anticipated. I guess I really got to know him, got to really appreciate him for who he was. And so anyway, I have this letter that I'll pass around.
And as you're doing that, what we're going to do now is we're going to open it up to the board members. We're going to try to ask the same questions that have been asked to the other candidates. And we will start off, and Steve, you can start off when he gets back.
If I can just read this for a real quick second.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt. So this is a letter from Grace Santa. This is Rob's widow. So this was postmarked the 21st of June. Dear Board of Directors, I am writing you in regards to the open seat in Region 2. As you are aware, the seat is open because my husband, Robert Santa Jr., passed away on June 12, 2017. Rob greatly enjoyed working with each of you, and in his time on the school board meant so much to him. While he did not always agree with each of you, he tried to always be impartial and do what he felt was best in his heart. I believe you all know this to be true of Rob, as the outpouring of well wishes and condolences from the community and each of you has been nothing short of astounding to me. Rob saw these same qualities in Adam Kovitz, and he would have wanted me to write this letter on his behalf. During the last 12 months, Rob worked directly with Adam in his bid for a seat in the region. During that time, they got to know each other, and they became friends, and coincidentally, our children did as well. Rob saw similar values in Adam, who he felt would do the responsible thing for the district, even if it came to voting in directions that didn't necessarily agree with those who appeared he was aligned with. He was confident that Adam would not be a puppet, just voting how he was told to vote, and he would think for himself, doing what he felt was best for the region and the district. On primary day, Rob was starting to decline and was having some trouble walking. We spent the day at University of Penn, and on the way home, Rob absolutely insisted we stop at Miller so that he would vote for Adam. If Rob could have passed along his seat, I know he would have selected Adam as his successor. As you are aware, Adam did not win the election. He was graceful in his defeat and knew it was not just his time. He was gearing up to try again the next election. I know that Rob would have wanted me to write this letter in the hopes that it would make a difference. I think you will have someone who will really care about the community and who will fill Rob's seat with a similar value set and balance the rest of the board out nicely. Thank you for listening. Sincerely, Grace Santa. So, anyway, this is why I'm running tonight, to hopefully carry on his legacy.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the questions. Mr. Parentano, I believe, asked the first question to the last candidate. So, Steve, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Ron? You're way ahead of me, Ron. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Kovacs. I'm sorry I can't be there in person to interview you. Tell me about your responsibilities as a Neshaminy School Board member.
As a school board member, my responsibilities, much like yours, would be to the taxpayers, to the teachers and the support staff, and would be to the kids, obviously, at the end of the day. So my personal passion is, of course, STEAM education: science, technology, engineering, art, and math. As a recovering engineer and rocket scientist, I find that stuff to be of interest, and I love helping kids. And I took more of a leadership role when it came to my sons going through the robotics course at school. And I just like to do what I can to proliferate that during my time here with you, hopefully.
Thank you. Mr. Morris.
Do you currently have any family members working for the Neshaminy School District?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Could you briefly explain to me what your vision, what you would see for Neshaminy as a long-term vision going forward?
As a long-term vision, for me, I would be looking to, I understand the challenges that are faced. I know that it's not easy to balance a $178 million budget. I know that you have to answer to a lot of different people, and it's a thankless job. My vision, though, would be to work as best we can with the constraints that are imposed upon us. PSERS is obviously one of them. Obviously, doing what we need to do, and hopefully minimizing the tax burden upon the folks in the 2 townships here that make up the district. And for me, and again, for me personally, I would love to, aside from STEAM, arts is a pretty big thing for me. Obviously, the A in STEAM has to do with arts, so that's important too. I have a son who's going into the band. I have another one who's just Mr. Math and Science. So it's just those things are important. I'd love to see more programs put forward for their benefit. Sure.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Fowler.
As was Rob, I know you were against the 5th grade move as well as the closing of the local elementary schools. You're up against 2 other candidates, one of which is a former Middletown police officer who's active in the community and has been here for quite some time. The other is a former school board director. What attributes and what qualities and what direction do you think you can bring to this board that would excel you or put you above those 2 candidates?
Again, not to minimize either of the other 2. I know neither of them really well. I can speak for myself. Again, given my background, I'm not a politician. I don't play politics. I'm a no-nonsense kind of a person. I look at data. I look at data to make decisions, and I do that for my clients. I do that with in conjunction with my wife as we run our household for our family, and I plan to basically do that here too. Again, one of the things that my clients have told me time and time again that they love about the work that I do is that I spend their money like I spend my own. I'm fairly frugal, and I do like to get the most out of every dime that I do spend. You got it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kovacs.
You got it.
Once again, I'd like to thank the 2 gentlemen. We had 3, like I said, but unfortunately, due to some work requirements, was not able to join us, I assume. I thank you for stepping up to the plate. Once again, this is an appointment that will carry you through until November, in which case that the position that you will fill will be put on the ballot for a 2-year term. So that you would have to run in an election to follow through after November with this seat. And we will be coming up with that later. At this point in time, I'm going to go to public comment. Please state your name, area you reside, your profession, and please no personal attacks. Mrs. Burns, please.
Steve Rodas.
Good evening. Steve Rodas. I live in the Villages of Flowers Mill. I didn't realize I would get to speak in the first half, since now you have a new sign-in sheet, which requires figuring out if what you want to say is really on the agenda, assuming you've read the agenda before you got here. So in any event, I did want to, number one, thank Jennifer Burns for making me look good in all of the minutes that she took in the preceding year. Number two, I would beg you not to pass a policy allowing the staff to be armed with guns, even though the genius senators in Harrisburg feel it's the proper thing to do. Everybody from all the people from the Philadelphia area voted against it. I don't think it's a good idea. Third, I urge you to keep a sharp eye on the results of any decrease in special ed funding as a result of any new health care law that will pass in the upcoming months, because I think it can present a very big problem, not only here in Neshaminy, but throughout the state. And fourth, I'd like to request a copy of the bus survey, which I'm sure by now has been printed and made available to the world. Not yet, huh? Okay, well, since there's no meeting probably until August, maybe we'll get it by then. Okay, thank you very much.
I thank you to the public. Mr. Rodas. At this point in time, on our agenda, we have personnel administrative. Mr. Parentano was going to do that, but I was going to do that for him for an appointment. At this point in time, we're going to table that until our next meeting. At this time, we're going to move to the personnel.
I recommend that you have a motion to table it.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to table the personnel administrative appointment 2.01. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Feather with a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? Be it there none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Abstentions. Passes 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Brophy. Okay, right now I'd like to make a motion for the certificated personnel for the summer work assignments. Can I get a second, please? Mr. Sullivan with a second. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Be it there none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Passes 8-0. We're going to go to the personnel support. Ms. Hollenbeck, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.01, summer work assignments for support staff.
Can I get a second, please? Mr. Morris with a second. Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Be it there none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Passes 8-0. Business operations, Ms. Hollenbeck, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 5.01, Sunday facilities usage.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any questions, comments, concerns on the facility usage? Be it there none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions. Passes 8-0. Item 5.02, please.
Resolved that Neshaminy School Board of Directors hereby authorizes the solicitor of the school district to file an appeal from the June 12, 2017 decision of the Bucks County Board of Assessment Appeals granting exemption to parcel number 22-055-201 owned by CIBC Foundation, Inc.
Thank you for that motion. Can I get a second, please? Ms. Boyle, thank you for the second. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Be it there none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions. Passes 8-0. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor for a motion to appoint one of the candidates for the board vacancy, appointment 6.01.
I'd like to nominate Adam Kovitz.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to appoint Adam Kovics. Do we have a second? All right, Mr. Morris with a second. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I believe we should go to a roll call vote. Yes would be to appoint. No would be not to. Mrs. Burns, please.
Ms. Boyle?
No.
Mr. Congdon?
No.
Mr. Feather?
Yes.
Mrs. Hallenbeck? No. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Parentano? Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
No.
3 yes, 5 no.
Okay, would anybody else like to make a motion? Mr.
I'd
Sullivan?
like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Burnett for the open seat.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second it.
Ms. Boyle, with a second. Roll call. Mrs. Burns, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Any questions, comments, concerns? Be it there none. Roll call, please.
Ms. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Congdon?
Yes.
Mr. Feather?
No.
Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
No.
Mr. Parentano? Mr. Rudy?
No.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
5 yes, 3 no.
Okay, with that appointment then, I'd like to welcome Mr. Bob Burns to Burnett. I'm sorry, I was with a Bob Burns today all day, and got Bob Burns on the 9th tee, and here we are in the 19th hole. All right, Bob, congratulations. Like I said, this is a 5-month term you're appointed to by this board, and it will be up until the first meeting in December, where the new board, after being elected in November, will start. At this time, is there any other board business that anyone would like to bring up on the board? Be it there none. We're going to move to our second portion of public comment. Once again, we're going to limit it to 3 minutes. Please state your name, area you reside, your profession, and please no personal attacks. There was no sign-up seats for this portion, so you can just approach the podium.
Hi, my name is Rita Bakshi. I live in Langhorne. I have a question for any of you who wants to answer it. There was a discussion about hiring teachers, not hiring teachers with a master's degree. The question for any of you to answer is, how are we going to stop teachers? We could hire teachers with a bachelor's degree. How are you going to stop teachers from pursuing a degree while they are in your employ and then not pay them their master's, whatever the master's degree holder teachers will get, not pay those salaries? What is the way? Are you going to stop teachers from taking further certifications or a master's degree while they are working in a Neshaminy school district? Thank you.
All right, I don't see anybody else coming up here. We're going to move to 7.03, board comment. Does anybody have any board comments to make? Oh, yeah, Joe, you want to start off with the answer on that one?
Two points. One is that the statement about not hiring master's teachers is inaccurate. The board did hire teachers with master's degrees, and so that was not the issue. The question revolved around more people beyond that level, further along in terms of the education beyond a master's plus 30 in some cases or what have you. Your question, I guess, is still valid, and the contract calls for teachers to be recognized for those things, and so there is no right today practice that would stop that from happening. Teachers who are in our employ, as they move across horizontally in the amount of credits that they accumulate and degrees that they accumulate, are recognized for that.
And to add to that, I'm going to also say that as we move forward, there will be a more defined direction for these positions that will be given to the public as well, and any candidates that would want to apply. Mr. Morris, did you have something?
To Mr. Rodis's concerns in reference to the teachers carrying firearms, sounds like a good idea. I think it's when they all get together and talk about it. But until we also can start carrying those on school property, then we can start talking fairness, I believe. But out of all fairness to the school system itself, I do not support that unless there's a special issue, and that would have to be under training. And there's no way I'm going to allow somebody to do that without the training. You have to be proficient, you have to show it, demonstrate it, document, and there's no way that's going to happen. So it's up to the administration, school boards like ourselves, and to make sure the schools are safe. It needs to be a safe environment, period, for everybody, not just one particular group.
I see this terminal looking at me. Steve, are you looking to make comment?
I just want to make one short comment. I want to welcome Mr. Burnett to the board. I appreciate his offer to serve his community. I also want to thank Mr. Kovic for putting up his name again in consideration. This job does require a lot of dedication, and no one should do it unless they're really committed to working for the community. Just to address what Mr. Morris just said about the firearms issue that Mr. Rodas brought up, I would not support teachers carrying firearms in the schools. That's a job for professionals who are trained in that area. And as far as the debate that went on last meeting with the board, this board is and will continue to be committed to hiring quality teachers, regardless of where they are in their educational content, as our demands require it. As Mr. Jones stated, the conclusion that was made is incorrect. There is more about process and considerations for the ability of our taxpayers to afford our quality education system to be brought into the mix. But I do appreciate, the public's input on the matter. And I just want to say thank you to the public for coming out, and enjoy the July 4th weekend coming up. Thank you.
And in closing, I'd just like to also, once again, because it may be in a special meeting prior to our August meeting, but our next meeting will be in August, and we'll be talking about the new class of 2018 entering their senior year, and the new kindergartners coming into our district and whatnot. So I'd like to just once again congratulate the class of 2017 for their accomplishments of graduating. And I was there firsthand. Once again, I'm going to state that, it was mentioned again tonight that it's a thankless job, but standing up there and being able to graduate the students and be part of that. 30 years ago, I sat on the field and went through it, and now to be able to sit up on stage was great payment, and it made me proud to still be part of the Neshaminy family 30 years later. But once again, congratulations, class of 2017. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Second. Mr. Feather with the second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Good night.